If you're a super advanced Photoshop user and you really enjoy the ability to edit images using the Adobe Camera Raw tools, then this tutorial's for you, because I'm going to demonstrate a great new script called Dr. Brown's Edit Layer in ACR, or Adobe Camera Raw. Now, I developed this script with the help of Calvin Hollywood. We both love the ability of using Camera Raw tools on our images, but we've always wanted the ability to edit a single layer or multiple layers with those same tools that we really love to use on Camera Raw images. But we just didn't have the way to access it easily. So this new script lets you select a layer, as you see here, and lets you easily turn it back into a layer that can be edited with the Adobe Camera Raw features. Wow! Now, of course, I'm not turning this back into a raw image. I'm merely placing a 16-bit TIFF file inside of a smart object, and then we can edit that TIFF file with these features. I can make adjustments or just click OK, and then check it out. I have a smart object layer that if I double click on it, I can go back in and edit as if it were a raw image. Okay, you saw me do this to a single layer. Now, here are the rules. In order for this to work, I must be in a special mode. Here from the Photoshop menu and down to Preferences and over to Camera Raw right here, this must be done before you can run my script. You select Camera Raw, and right down here, you must activate Automatically Open All Supported TIFFs right here. This is the secret. In other words, if I double click on this smart object and there's a TIFF file inside, then by doing so, it will open it into Adobe Camera Raw. It's a simple little trick, but it works quite well. So set that up right there and click OK. Ah, yes, there's one other thing you need to know. I'm going to double click here again on the smart object and open it up here inside of Adobe Camera Raw. And right down here at the base, click here to reveal your workflow options. These are very important because the default settings for your workflow options must be set to a resolution of 240 because that's the standard in which I'm going to use throughout the documents that you're using with this new script. It sets it up so that the resolution of your placed TIFF images matches exactly the resolution of your Photoshop document. And I use this as a basis. Also up here, notice that my bit depth is set to 16 bits per channel. Now, of course, the TIFF image that we're placing inside of this smart object is a 16-bit image. So if you want to maintain that quality, be sure and set your depth here. Also, make sure that your workspace here within the workflow options is the same workspace as found inside of Photoshop. Now you're starting to understand that this is, of course, a super user script. So beware. I'm now going to click OK, and these settings will be set permanently across any TIFF image that I open. And then I click OK. So now you know some of the key details about using this, and you could start using it immediately after you've downloaded my installer from my website or from the CD from which you may be watching this tutorial. However, here are a few more details that will help you. As you saw, it works on a standard layer. But will it work on a layer that has a layer mask? Why, yes, it will. I target this layer with the layer mask. Then once again, File, Scripts, Dr. Brown's Edit Layer in ACR. I will maintain that mask and also let you make adjustments. For example, let's bring up the clarity, just like this, and click OK. So now it's conveniently attached the mask, as you see here, to that layer that we can edit with the Adobe Camera Raw tools. But wait, there's more. Will this work with transparency? It works pretty well, but it's not perfect. Here are the rules. You must have all of your other layers on before you run the script. Because of the transparency and the fact that that is not supported in Adobe Camera Raw, I need to have something to blend the transparency into. So turn on your other layers, target your layer, and then run the script. By doing so, I will create a mask and maintain the dithering or the blending of the images together as well as I possibly can. It is not perfect. As you see here, it's combined the mask with this image, and it's doing its best to simulate the transparency you had in the original. But I really recommend that you use this on standard layers and avoid layers with masks or with transparency for best results. I'd also like to point out that this 1.0 version will support RGB color images, black and white images, but it will not support CMYK at this time, perhaps in the future. Okay, you know how to use it, but why should you use it? Let's start with this reason. Here's a situation where I'm blending 6 images together for a panorama. They started off as camera raw images, but I want to finish off by using some of the Adobe Camera Raw controls on the final blended panorama. But I can't do it because they're no longer raw images. But now I target the layer and, of course, run my script on that layer. It will, of course, turn this into a TIFF image, a 16-bit TIFF image, and place it inside that smart object. And here's some of the great reasons why I like this. First of all, I like the fill light controls right here. Look at that, how I can open up the detail here in the foreground across all of my blended exposures. Really love that capability. Next, up here, I like the HSL grayscale controls, especially the luminance targeting I have here. Watch how I can make the sky darker. Wow, really, really nice. Now, of course, I can do these things inside of Photoshop, but I really like the exacting controls I have here, not only for luminance, but all these other features. One of the other ones, for example, sharpening, here under the Detail tab. I can go in and do an overall noise reduction or even color noise reduction here as well. Really, really nice. We click OK, and I've enhanced that image. Here's another example, if you haven't been sold yet. What about this situation with an HDR image? I had 3 different exposures that I combined together for this HDR image. Once again, I want to go in and use the Camera Raw controls that I really love to work with. But I don't have access to them because I've merged them together. What if I want to sharpen this a bit with clarity? Well, that's easy. Target it, go to the File menu, down to Scripts, and let's turn this back into a smart object that we can edit using the Adobe Camera Raw features. Now keep in mind, I want to point out and make this very clear, we're not making this a raw image once again. We're merely making the layers that we have available into a layer that we can edit using these tools. And check this out. I love the ability to adjust clarity down here. Sliding this over to the right to really enhance the clarity here in these rocks or to enhance the clouds for this HDR look, just like that. Oh, and clarity also works the other way too. I love to drop the clarity back all the way to the left in many cases, for example, to soften the clouds or to soften portraits that I'm working on. Really nice. This one feature right here in Camera Raw really helps out in many, many cases. There you have it. I hope I've sold you on this script that allows you to go back in and edit your images in Adobe Camera Raw from any layer from within your document. Give it a try.